Then item E is the open enrollment process for determining openings and applications.
Now, normally at this meeting, we're actually approving the applications that have come in for open enrollment, but because of Act 114, open enrollment has been changed. And I did include a document just today that kind of summarized all the changes in the law in regard to open enrollment. And you'll notice in first review of policy, we also have Neola policy recommendations, changes in that area. But we are now required, or as a school board, you're required to determine the number of openings or spaces that we have within our school district, and that is to happen every January. But this law did not go into effect until late January, so they're giving school districts through March to approve the number of spaces. And then parents have almost 3 months now to submit their applications for open enrollment. It was previously just 3 weeks. And we cannot act on any open enrollment applications before May 1st. So it will be the May board meeting when we will approve those applications. So there's some additional information on there. But I asked our middle school and high school principals, Mr. Buss through Mrs. Smith in the guidance office, and Mr. Hay helped me out at the high school, and then Mrs. Storbeck took care of our elementary schools. And what we did was we took the number of sections of the class that's available, we multiplied that by the number of seats that are in a class. So the board, for instance, has said we're going to try to keep 18 as the number in our 4K classes. So if we have 11 sections of 4K, then you multiply that by 18, you subtract then the number of students that we currently have sitting in those seats, or the number of students that we anticipate will be, like when you look at second graders, it'll be this year's first graders. So you can see then the suggested caps for the classes and then the openings. They range from probably our most crowded class is our current first grade class. So we only have it would be our current kindergartners, because we'll only have 4 openings for first grade next year. But then that jumps all the way up to potentially 84 slots for our freshman class. I forgot to add on here, and you do need to approve that as well, our spaces for special ed students. That is in another document that was attached. We have no room for special ed students. We are at capacity in all of our programs with special ed. So we do need the board to approve today the openings, the number of openings at each grade level in regular ed and then in special ed. Does that make sense? Okay.
Are there any questions? Or I guess I would look for a motion to approve then the openings that are available for open enrollment as presented, along with the approving that we have no openings available for special education students.
Correct.
Through open enrollment.
All in one motion?
Mm-hmm.
So moved to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second then to approve the openings in our Tomah Area School District for 2012-13 as presented, and no openings then available for special ed as presented. Any further discussion?
Madam President,
Yes.
I'm just curious, do we not factor in any margin or wiggle room for students potentially moving into the district that we would want to have those seats reserved for before open enrollment is considered?
We are not allowed to do that.
Oh, I see.
They were pretty specific in their guidelines on how to calculate your open spaces.
It's very formulaic.
Yes.
Okay.
I would just add one other thing to this thing. Typically, we would have the open enrollment projections by end of April, May. This means if it's 3 months from the end of March, you're looking at June So we're probably not going to see our open enrollment until July. Open enrollment is getting to be a very big piece of our budget if you think back to, the dollars associated with it. So it's just one more piece of the puzzle that is an unknown, and we won't know until July. And, the point being with everything we've talked about with budget tonight or in the past is we got to make decisions today, tomorrow, and before July 1st regarding our budgets, not after we get the information. So just another estimate we'll be using and guessing.
One thing that you might also want to know in regard to changes in open enrollment, that there is that new alternative open enrollment criteria, which allows people to submit an application any time of the year. And there are specific, again, criteria that are reasonable, I believe, when you read through those. For instance, being a victim of a violent criminal offense in the school that you were attending, if you're a homeless student, changes due to court orders or military orders. So it's possible to get open enrollment applications now year-round.
Cindy, I didn't understand the reasoning behind special education being excluded. Could you explain that?
Why it is what? I'm sorry.
They're not included in this?
Our caseloads for our special ed teachers are at a maximum.
Max.
So I don't think we would, if someone moved to our district that was a special ed student, we obviously have to take them. And we would make that work. But in terms of a special ed student who's actually to be in a different district, to accept them into our district, we do not have space for that enrollment.
So essentially, unfortunately, we just don't have the space, so we're saying we have zero. It's not that they're excluded, we just don't have the place for them.
Yeah, okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?